Good afternoon. It is a cold and wet day here in North Carolina, and today is part 2 of photo editing. So last week we denoised the image and sharpened it, and this week we're going to edit the image to present it to either social media or for printing. And this is what I do after I denoise and sharpen my image. I edit my image here. So come along and enjoy this adventure. Okay, so last week we denoised this image and we sharpened this image a lot. So we're starting from there. Now, the first thing I want to do is I want to crop this image down a little bit here. So I hit the cropping tool. So if I'm in the Lightroom, the develop module, and if you notice here, there are 5 tools up here. The second tool in is called cropping, or you can click the letter R. So I want to crop in a little bit here and get this ruddy turnstone more to the left so that you're giving some room to the front of it. I don't want them all the way over to the edge. I want them a little bit like that here. That's pretty good right there. But if you notice something here, the beach is kind of sloping up here, and that's not good. So when they're still in the cropping tool, you can literally just grab this straightening tool right here. Just grab that, put it here, put it like that, and it will straighten the beach out. It does a pretty good job. If that's not precise enough for you, you can always move this slider right here a little bit too, and it will allow you to adjust it. But it's very important, if you're taking a photograph at the beach, that the ocean or whatever it is, the land is level. It's very important because the image will look extremely off, and if you're in a contest or something like that, that's the first thing that get you disqualified from a contest here. Now, if you remember last week's video here, there's a spot right here that is driving me bonkers. So I want to fix that. So if we go to the third tool in called healing, or just hitting Q, you click on that and it gives you this circle right here. We're just going to put that right over that spot right there. Click on it and it's going to heal it using content awareness. Now there are 3 options. Content awareness is AI. Healing takes another spot of your photo and overlays it on that. And cloning is pretty much the same thing. I generally start out with content awareness. I'll go back to my edit tool here, see how it looks, and then go back and forth with that. I also, sometimes you have to change the size of that healing tool to get that just right. So that's something you have to experiment with, and it can be very frustrating here. Now, if you look at the image here, we have some, these are way out in the background. It's out of focus. This is part of the beach right here, and I've thought pretty long and hard about removing those things, and I decided I'm going to leave those in here. Now if you look down here in the sand here, we also have a black spot right here and another one here, a little something here, and there's something in his shadow here, or her shadow here. I believe this is a female ruddy turnstone, but I'm not 100% sure because it is a juvenile bird. But I was thinking about removing those, but I don't want the beach to be perfect. I want this to be a very minimalistic picture. I mean, there's nothing in the sky, there's almost nothing on the beach other than the ruddy turnstone and the crab that it's feeding on. So I think if I took everything out, it would look a little bit too much dark, and leaving this stuff in here I think is important here. So we're going to close our detail window from last week's video here. So the first thing I want to do is I want to edit the bird. So we're going to break this photo up into 3 parts. We're going to edit the bird, we're going to edit the sky, and then we're going to edit the beach here. So the first thing we need to do is, if we go up here to our tools, we're going to hit our masking tool, click on that, and it's going to give us 3 options. We can do subject awareness, the sky, the background, or we can just do objects, brushing, linear grade, radial grade. You can do stuff like that, and you can even set it up to select people. But for this demonstration, I'm just going to hit subject, When I click on that, it brings up the mask tool here in the top here, and the AI is now going to scan your computer, or scan your photo, I'm sorry. And as you can see, it selected the ready turnstone really well. Unfortunately, it selected the crab, the ready turnstone shadow, and it also selected between the animal's legs here. Now, if we just edit it like this here, what's going to happen is when we edit the sky, there's going to be two different colors here, and that would look really funny here. So to fix the masking tool here, this orange part here, I'm going to select subtract, and I'm going to go to a brush. Now, what I generally say is use the biggest brush you can get away with. So, in some of these spots here, we can get away with a pretty big brush here. So I'm gonna use the brush tool in between the bird's legs here. I did the crab. I don't want to hit the leg. I make sure I want to get everything underneath there, and I want to get that shadow on the far side of the bird here. And that is actually really good. So now the only thing that's going to be edited in this little bit here is the bird itself. Now if we look over at the tool section of our software here, we have a new panel here. And this is the panel that we're going to use to edit the bird here. Now to be aware, when we're going to be editing other parts of the pictures, that is going to have some impact on this mask here. So we have to be aware of that. But the first thing I want to do is I want to lower the exposure a little bit here. And as you notice, as soon as I put my cursor on the tool here, my orange on the mask went away. So I'm going to bring that up to about, that's too much. I'm going to make it 40. So simply click period 40, and that's going to make that exposure almost 1/2 stop off there. I'm going to take the contrast and move it down a little bit, moving slowly. I don't want to go too fast here. And the whole idea is I want to bring the colors out of this bird here. So it's got blacks, it's got whites, it's got browns, and I want to bring all those colors out without having like dramatically just make it look funny or something like that. Next thing I'm going to do is bring up the highlights here. And bring up the shadows just a little bit. So we have shadows here. You notice how they got very dark on the leg here. I don't want to go too high on that. Now, I have in my histogram up here, these two boxes on both sides of the histogram selected. And what those will tell you is when you clip your whites or your blacks here. So if I take my white and I move it over, you will notice that all these now white colors are red. It means I'm clipping my whites, which means that everything that's now red will be pure white with no detail in it. Well, that's no good for a picture like this. So I need to back that off until most of the red is gone. And you can see that there's one little spot here that is red, but the rest of it is all, you still have detail in the image here. And the exact same thing. Instead of moving to the right, we're going to move to the left with the black one. And we want to do the same thing here. Now, with the black here, in the eye, a little bit of black in the feathers is not a big deal, but I don't want that much black in the image there. So that's it. And some of our other edits are going to clip our blacks and whites in this bird a little bit here, and I'm going to show you those too. So the bird looks really good here. The temperature is like your white balance here. I'm gonna bring that down a little bit. Again, you can just get really crazy with this, moving into the thing to the right or to the left. But for this demonstration, I'm gonna move it a little bit to the right, and that's gonna cool our temperatures down a little bit here. And I think 12 is pretty good. I'm gonna bring my saturation up just a little bit. Again, these can be dangerous tools to use. And again, we're not making permanent edits. We're not damaging the image. We're literally making a file that's telling the software what to do. So we can always go back to our original image there. So the next thing we'll do is just I want to lighten up everything a little bit. Grab our bar here, and we just want to lighten it up just a little bit here. Not too much. I'm just bringing that bar up a little bit so I can have that nice soft curve there. Normally, I'm going to go to the next panel here, effects, and I'm going to go to, normally when I'm using effects, I go to the right. But because we sharpen this image here, I want to go a little bit to the left here. Just because we sharpen that image, and I don't want to lose too much of that sharpening here. I'm going to bring up my clarity just a little bit, maybe 15, 16, 14, somewhere in that range there. Now, as you notice, we're kind of clipping our blacks here a little bit here, and we are clipping our whites. And we're going to go over here to dehaze a little bit, and we're just going to bring that up a little bit here. I'm going to bring up, now grain, I'm going to bring the grain down a little bit here, bring the size down a little bit here, and just down a little bit. We're not going to get crazy there. Now, we have another detail panel here. We can sharpen this a little bit here. But again, you don't want to just, if you want to sharpen your image, you do that before you get here, just because you want to have a really, using a mask, sharpen the image like I did last week in last week's video here. We'll just bring these up a little bit here just to, sharpen up the image just a tiny bit here. So you notice that we got this bird's got a few problems here with the whites and the blacks. So I'm going to bring the whites down just a little bit, and I'm going to bring the blacks down a little bit. Now, to be truthful with you, I don't mind a little bit of black in the feathers here, and I don't mind the eye being black. So I'm going to leave it right there for now. Now we're going to make multiple masks for this image here. So the first thing I want to do is rename this image here so that I know what it is if I come back and look at it. I'm just going to call it bird for now. And that way there I know that this edit only applies to the bird. And if you ever wonder what your mask is altering, just put the your cursor over the mask icon and it will show you by putting orange over it what that's applying to. Now, the next thing we want to do is edit the sky. And if you look at the sky here, we have some light sky down here, and then we have a really dark edge up here that kind of fades out over here. And the reason why I really like this image is how bleak it is, how the only thing that's there is the bird. I really wanted to get an impression of just the bird standing there on the beach by itself. So I'm going to create a new mask by hitting this button and hitting plus, select sky. And it's going to, again, use content awareness, AI to select the sky here. And it actually did a really good job of it. So, again, I'm going to rename this sky. And I have, when I do edits like this, if it's a bird, I'll always say bird, sky is sky. And if there's something in there, so if I made a mask for this crab, and normally I would do that, but I'm not going to do that in this demonstration. I would call it a crab or something like that. So what I'm going to do is just grab the exposure, bring that down just a tiny bit. I'm going to bring the content up a little bit. Highlight again. I don't want to get really crazy with this because the sky is just an element in our photo that complements the bird. We don't want it to take away anything from the bird itself. And I'm just going to bring the temperature down a little bit here. And that's it. Not any other crazy edits like that. And the last thing I want to edit is this sand down here. Now, if you look at this sand here, it looks like mud. It doesn't look like sand at a beach. And it actually detracts from the image itself, I believe. So I'm going to make a third mask. And I'm going to say select background. And the reason why I'm using a mask is if you look here, it didn't select the crab or the bird. But it did select the sky. So we want to remove the sky. So first thing I want to do is rename it. I'm just going to call it sand. And I'm going to subtract with a brush. And I'm going to make a big brush here and just start subtracting here from this image here. Now, I can run over my bird without any problem at all. It's not going to affect the bird at all because that's a different mask. And we're just going to come down here to get the sand, get all this stuff here, down here. I want to make sure all the sand is selected. And as you can see here, this goes really fast. It takes a little bit of practice here with the mouse to do this. And again, at any time, I can go back to my original photo. So if I'm doing this and everything just goes bad for me, I can always select it. So I have my sand selected here, as you can tell, because it's a darker gray inside this gray box here. And the first thing I want to do is bring my exposure down. I want to get it to that kind of lighter color there. We're going to bring the contrast up a little bit. Highlights, shadows, and then the temperature. I want to bring that down a little bit here. I don't want to bring it down so it's back to muddy looking, but you can see how dramatically different this image looks now. And again, I have 3 masks on this image here. And if I want to compare it to the original image, I go back to my edit tool, go down here to where the 2 Y's are, select that image there. And you can see how much more dramatic this image looks here. Um, I'm looking at this image now and thinking to myself, I am going to do spot removal on these 2 spots here because it is distracting to the image here. But you can see how dramatically different this image looks compared to the other one there. And that's all I'm going to do for this picture. It is edited now. And if I want to see it in full screen, I just hit F on my keyboard and it will show me what this bird or this image looks like. And it is a pretty dramatic image. I do like the bleakness of the image. I like how just everything looks in there. And at full screen, I might crop this image so I can move the bird a little bit more to the left. I think just a little bit more to the left would be more dramatic. But overall, this image is edited. Well, I really enjoyed making this video here. It was a lot of work, a lot of detailed stuff that I really had to cover, but I'm glad that I did it. I hope you enjoyed. If you want me to do more videos like this, please leave a comment below. Love to hear what you have to say. I want to thank you for watching. If you got anything out of this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe to this video because it really helps us in the YouTube world. Become a Patreon supporter. Your support allows us to keep doing this. My name is Leahy. I want to thank you for watching.